Welcome, guys and gals. My first night off from 70 plus hours a week from 2 jobs, both night shift type, in 2 months or so. So I'm going to do a little video for y'all because I enjoy doing these. My last video was about this bike that has been put together and built, and I've been riding it for 2 months, getting back and forth to both of my jobs. Wouldn't you know it, I have a problem with the motor. And off screen, I've done everything I can to try to fix it. And therefore, there's nothing really I can move forward with. And I've reached out to the motorbiking community about this, and I have received nothing so far. I've only just recently reached out, and I haven't checked the app since. However, these motors are just so damned cheap, I have another one. Now, this one does have a factory failure. It may not run great or at all. Because that's what you get from Amazon. However, I got it. And I got it for like $67-ish. And come to find out, I'm torquing down these bolts, and one just starts free spinning. So it could have been my fault. Could have been its fault. There's really no telling. But I'm going to attempt to fix that real quick. Then we're going to put this one on the bike to see if I can turn this bicycle back into a motorcycle. Moto-cycle, not motorcycle. Okay, so the first thing we got to do, because I like clean space, is we got to get some space to work in here. This is a mess. You can't half see it, but it's a mess. Take me at my word. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is literally make room. I'm going to take all these knives, take the owner's manual for my inflatable kayak, take this self-defense stick. Just going to shove everything somewhere else so that I can get my workspace. No shit. That's right. I haven't done many videos recently, and I haven't done a lot of work in here. And it's occurred to me just now that I've really only been storing things in here and stuff, and it's become quite the unworkable workstation. So I'm gonna try to. That's a gasket or something. That's scary. That. Huh. I don't know what that went to. Can't think right now. It's never good to find a gasket just sitting around that's brand new for something when you know you've done work on things that have had gaskets, and now you can't tell what it might have went to. And it's just like something doesn't have a gasket. Anywho, I'm going to try to manipulate the camera some so that the camera can be more effective, but I can't make too many high quality promises here. The bulk of this is just going to be for me attempting to repair the problem that may or may not have been caused by me myself to begin with. And it's a really bad redneck repair. It's not even a certified redneck repair that people know about. This is a repair that only happens because I've done it on things before in absolute desperation. Okay. So we have the motor. This motor with a failure that we know, as opposed to the motor that absolutely will not crank and none of the troubleshooting seems to explain why. So we're going to take this motor and make that one single nut that keeps turning not keep turning anymore. Let's figure out first which one it is. Is that the right one? I think that's the right one. Okay, so let's start by checking by just applying some pressure. Light pressure. That feels like that's turning. Yep, it's that one. Okay, so I'm going to take this one off. Okay. I believe it to be the nut, but I don't know. Because I don't know, I'm worried. I'm not sure, I'm worried. And I don't want it to be the bolt. The bolt goes through. So I'm going to start with changing out the nut, which is not the big solution that I was talking about. It's that's not the redneck replacement or the redneck repair, but let's do that just to see if it changes things, because if the actual bolt starts spinning, then we know together that there is a problem that needs to be addressed with the redneck fix, with the hopes that after applying the redneck fix, the motor will still have enough compression, will still be able to retain enough compression to run like it should. Now, most of you know I like a shadow box and that I keep all of my tools organized. So please don't call me out for having all of these tools just dumped in here. I took them in the house to build, well, a bike, a very important bike for somebody who wanted one. And I took it in there to build their bike. My stuff stays out here. It stays in these, shadow boxes, the toolbox that I got. This is not how I keep my tools normally. So please overlook this mess. It is both hard to find my tools and it feels very shameful. Let's see if that's going to be the right. So no, that's too small. That'll be too small too then. I am in the position where I have amassed bolts for the longest time. I mean the longest time. And I feel like that it is an innocent statement. Innocent enough that I will state this. This is the truth. From the largest number of jobs I've ever worked with maintenance, I've ended up with a bolt here or a nut there in my pocket when I get home. And I think to myself, I'm going to take that back to work tomorrow. And it just ends up, in the laundry or whatever. And somebody else picks it out of the laundry and then it ends up in the house sitting there because they think that I need it for something. And it ends up just sitting there for so long that it's like, okay, I'll throw it in the bucket. It ends up in the bucket. And that's what this actually is it's a bucket that I keep tons of nuts and bolts in. And so the first thing that I wanted to do was kind of check this bucket to see if I have anything comparative in size. And I should, I really should. It's hard to say that confidently, but I should though. Okay, apparently not. what we're going to do, we're going to try to put the nut back on. We're not going to swap the nut with another nut on here because if it's already damaged one set of threads, we don't want to spread the damage. But basically, I'm trying to make sure this seats properly. Which, if you heard that, it doesn't sound like it's seated properly. Okay, tight. It just keeps going. Little firm, little firm. Oh, okay. All right, I'm going to leave it at that snugness. That's not torqued, but, well, now, to me, this is not accurate because I can see the seal down here, the gasket, and it just looks wavy as shit. Okay, I'm going to take the head off. We're going to see what we're working with. Because that was the whole point that made me torque these down in the first place, was that I didn't believe they were tight because I could see that the gasket was just wiggly. Oh yeah, that's right. Swing next to all these blades up here on the wall. Now that is a tight head gasket bolt. Right there. That one was clearly good. And here I am ruining that seal. And this one. That one was actually good. That one came loose. But okay, let's take these off. I'm going to remove this head. That's right. Come right on off. Now it is sitting at an angle, and I do have washers up here. So there is a possibility washers could fly everywhere. Okay. That looks good. All of that looks good. Gasket looks nice. Yeah, just flip it. Yes, I just flipped it. Okay. Now, I did just do something. If you were staring at me hard enough, you may have noticed. I just flipped this headpiece around. The reason for that is when it's on my bike, I'm actually going to have an easier time getting the spark plug this way than this way. Just because of the shape of the frame of the bike. That may not have been a big thing to anybody watching, but if you had been wondering, yes, that's what I did, and that's why I did it. Now let's look and see here. That on. Okay, put that on. That on. And that on. I don't really like that these are capped bolts because you can't go down any further than a certain amount, and then of course it does force that bolt to spin, and if you're forcing that bolt to spin, you're destroying the threads in the base of the motor. So I'm just kind of hoping that it's the threads themselves on the nut that just weren't that good. Should I be torquing this? Yes. But do I have a torque value? No. So since I don't have a torque value, can't really torque it now, can I? Now I know that people have, there's a mathematical equation for what the size of the bolt is and the type of material. And from the size and material, you decide your torquing spec. But I neither know what type of metal these are, nor do I know what their size is. And I don't have the proper tools to adequately check. So we're not going to do that. We're putting it on. It's tight. The big thing here would be making sure that when you visually inspect that there's no crease, which there is. So I don't feel that that's going to work, but that's me and my feelings. And lots of people know the age-old adage, fuck your feelings. So I'm a little on the desperate side. I'm going to try to crank this outside of the bike to see if it runs. Then we'll crank it on the bike after everything's been put together. But at the moment, the biggest way to crank it outside of the bike would be to turn the motor over by hand. This will require a drill I don't have. Yes, I had some problems with a drill that I owned, and I took my other drill to work to use there. Let's see, I should still have plenty of other. There we go. And do I have any Bauer batteries here? I swear to God, this feels like it's not even my shed. This is not like me. This is so unlike me. Anyway, okay, so we're not going to try to crank it. Because we can't. We cannot crank it without the appropriate tools. We don't have them. So what was the plan, you're wondering? Well, underneath these two gearboxes right here, I just now realized how far away that is. Underneath these two gears boxes, caps. These are boxes that have gears and stuff. And these are the caps underneath the cap. This one has the chain sprocket and the clutch control arm. Well, does that to engage the clutch and all that mess. Underneath that specific one, you can take a socket over the bolt that holds the sprocket on, and you can turn it over. If you turn it over fast enough, with gas, with spark, with air, with compression, it'll start the motor. Now, I would never try to hand crank it with a wrench as if I was kickstarting a old motorcycle or moped or whatever. Never. Would never do that. Because even if you do manage to get it to crank, and it comes out your hand, it could shatter your hand when it comes back around. It could hit your skull. Totally not safe, and I'm not going to do that on my channel. But I don't think that I could turn over a brand new motor and crank it like this. Not, at least not in after all day working, everything else. Been trying to get other things done, and I do genuinely believe there's a seal problem right here. I could probably get some gasket maker, but that's a metal gasket, and I would sincerely want to put a metal gasket on there, or at least a number of metal gaskets, or just part this out to another bike. I'm going to try it anyway because the word's desperate. So I'm going to try to get this on that bike and get that bike running. And because I'm doing that, you're getting this video of how to put this motor on that bike. I was going to not do the build for someone else, and because I'm having the issues that I'm having, I was able to go ahead and maybe at least give you a nice video, even at the cost of my own personal sanity. So we're going to get started, and going to try to make this video as simple for you to understand as possible. So we're going to first talk about what goes on this, and I'm going to move you to this side so that you can see this, and then we're going to actually take the other bike apart, well, the other build apart after. Okay, because I want to do a thorough introduction to this, and this just includes a deletion as well as a mounting. And I've already got this one practically together, so I feel the need to kind of express a few things. The first thing is that this muffler here does not come on the bike. You have to install it to the bike. It's 2 bolts, well, to the motor. It's these 2 bolts right here, just the 2. They're hex keys. I'm not sure what size, I don't remember. These nuts right here seem to be proprietary. I say that considering that all the sets of nuts that I have don't seem to fit. I've been working in maintenance for 10 years-ish. So I've amassed a lot of nuts and bolts from that. And before that, I worked doing plumbing. So I ended up with plenty of nuts and bolts and copper fittings and things from that. Just, you know, coming home, crap, got this in my pocket. Damn it, damn it, damn it. And I mean, I really like working out of a shadow box and having tools on a shelf with little trays that they go in. Because if I don't, I end up with that. I end up with crap all in my pockets and all just piled up in my toolbox, and I can't find anything. And all of my employers have always been like that. They shove stuff in trays and buckets. You have to find crap, and then you don't really know if you should put anything up anyway, because it's like it's not really where it's supposed to go, deep inside your heart. So then you end up with it in your pocket, and you never did put it up, and now you got a crap ton of bullshit in your house. So anyway, of all of those that I have, I can't find any extra bolts for this. So this motor was supposed to be for that build, for that person, and it would be a very unique build that would not apply to YouTube, because it's actually taking a step-through bike, or a female bike, or a girl's bike, or a woman's bike, or a dress-appropriate bike, or a step-through dress bike, or whatever you want to call it. It is a bike built for women who wear dresses instead of pants, so that you can step through with your dress. And because of that, the frame is so different than anything I've seen anyone put a motor on the internet, that I just didn't feel like it would apply. And while putting this one on, there's just a litany of problems. I need new extra mounting hardware that I don't have. And then this particular one issue came up, so this one's going on my bike since I need it for my employment. That said, they will be getting what they need put a motor on their bike. It's just going to be a slow process. I've seen all these people with all of these channels. They have YouTube income and they have extra income, and they can just have all of this stuff sent to them with sponsors, and from that they can just kind of accomplish whatever they want. And I'm not one of those, and I'm not gonna sell out my audience to big corporations and companies that want me to talk about Raid Shadow Legends and talk about NordVPN or any of that bull crap. Do y'all really want to know the truth about companies like that? Having a non-important little come to Jeebus. Not that I'm a big fan, but so those corporations that do things like NordVPN, they may not be spying on your stuff, but on the other hand, if they can't spy on you and they're not spying on you, everyone's spying on them. Now, the government would not allow anyone to operate in a way that hinders the government. Does that make sense? So if a company like NordVPN was really preventing the government from seeing your shit, don't you think the government would step in on that and be like, no, you can't operate in America? Common sense. Even though the government isn't good, the government is powerful, and they're not going to allow anything that prevents their hand in the cookie jar. I have no doubt whatsoever people are paying for NordVPN and all these other virtual private networks, thinking they're secure when they're not. You're not hiding from the government, and you're most likely not hiding from anyone else either. It's just a small little thing that allows you to change your location so you can watch Netflix. And if you really want to pay almost double the price for your Netflix to watch an extra movie, go ahead. But I work so much, so often, there's really no value in even paying for Netflix. So, that said, we're going to keep going with this build, but it's just a little cold in here. So, I'm going to start up my almost ceremonial fire over here. Ooh, fire in an enclosed space full of gas. Oh, it could go so wrong. Oh, it could, but it won't. Okay. Did you know that if you take a match and you light it and throw it really hard into a 5-gallon bucket full of gas, it actually will not ignite, but it will put the match out? That's right, because liquid gas doesn't burn. Vapor burns. Okay. So, enough of my ranting. I have taken the mounts off of this motor. I will show you how they go in a minute. On to the next part of how you would build your motor would be the carburetor, which has a fuel drain switch here. When you do this, it allows the release of fuel out the bottom. If that starts leaking, check it, clean it, inspect it, adjust it to make sure that it's properly closing. There's a bowl here. It has a small hollow plastic float that floats up and down, and that controls the switch, which opens and closes a little valve hole in here and allows the fuel to come up and out. The top has a needle valve, and it's a needle that sits down in a hole and adjusts how much it can breathe, which ultimately adjusts how much or how little gas you can receive. And it simply sits into this little slit right here. It's been machined off on the motor mount. You'll notice there's a bunch of holes right here that if you Google this plate, It's straight red. There's no holes. I added those. This one was on that bike before all of this came up, and I started swapping out all kinds of parts to make that motor run, and it's just not running. I added these holes to give it more air. The more air allows you to run a better fuel ratio for more power, more reactivity, higher speed, yada 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 yada, performance. So anyway, so these holes were not there originally. No, you're not crazy. And also probably don't do that, seeing as how mine doesn't run anymore. Maybe don't take my advice on putting holes into things. But anyway, at any rate, this would go right here, just like that. And then we take a screwdriver, a little Phillips head screwdriver, and we tighten down this screw that holds the carburetor to the motor mount carburetor fitting housing tube thing. I don't know the name of it. I wasn't given a diagram with names when I received the motor, so I don't know what they want to call that, but it is both a bracket and a mount. It is both a tube and a fitting. So now from here, this is the clutch. It receives a wire. It's not necessary that you take this back off. That would be kind of a personal preference for making a video. So you're going to want to feed your throttle cable wire into this little housing unit here, which is adjustable. So run it all the way in, then run the wire through it and put it into this lever and tighten down the Phillips head screw really, really good to secure that wire. That way when you pull the clutch cable, it will engage the clutch and allow the motor to not drag the whole bike, and vice versa. With the motor appropriately adjusted, appropriately set, running appropriately, and the carburetor adjusted just right, you should be able to have the motor running with the clutch engaged and the bike not going anywhere. Now, I personally, I'm bothered to my soul the idea of such a small motor not going anywhere because it's not getting any wind to cool it. But that is a thing. It can be ran. It can be ran in neutral. Mine has never done that, mostly because it was a last minute build to get me back and forth to work, and the break-in period is still not quite done yet. So anyway, this one, you do need the clutch cable to at least pedal the bike while the motor is off. So make sure you get this correct. It's a very simple thing. What I do to ensure that it's appropriate is I get it right at the edge of engaging. And that's when I tighten the cable. And I have the cable on tight. Then I know that it's good. And when I start pulling the cable trigger, it is engaging the clutch all the way down. There's also 3 steps on mine that allow me to engage it at level 1, level 2, or level 3. They're all engagement, but you can see that if you have to go to level 2 or if you have to go to level 3 to get your engagement, then you can judge that your clutch string has stretched and that it may be time to adjust it again. And it kind of gives you a measurement to go by as to when it's time to restart your process of adjusting your clutch. Okay, that was a lot, but here we go. Now the bike in question, my bike, sits a little lower than everything else. So we're going to try to sit down and get this all done without visually disappointing anybody. It's not going to be amazing. This is not going to be amazing. Okay. And for the sake of light, here's some light. Okay. Anything I'm looking at, y'all should be able to see as well. Just not great, because this entire system just isn't that great. But the first thing I want to do, because I'm taking this motor off, is I need to deal with the fuel line. Okay? Now, this does have gas in it, and I don't want to spill gas everywhere. So I'm going to put this little foam pad I have right here down. It's kind of absorbent. I've been using it to drain fuel when I park it. And typically the gas dries quickly. So it becomes a non-problem or a non-issue. But I'm going to make sure, just make sure it's empty. And it is. It's thoroughly empty. It's not dripping or anything. So I'm going to take this little hose right here off. There we go. It's going to leak all over my hand until the hose is empty. Lovely. Love that. Love that for me. Okay. Okay. Now gas dries rather quickly, but if you're not me and you're concerned, you can wipe it off like that. It shouldn't cause you any harm, but I don't know what your skin is made of. I just know that mine is normal human skin, and for me it's okay. I'm not allowed to give you any form of advice whatsoever about whether or not to allow gas to sit on your skin, because if you get hurt, then I'm liable, and I don't want to be liable, and I have no money. So, with that said, try to not get it on your skin. I'm going to take a small adjustable set of channel locks. I'm going to assess what size I need. What this is going to be for next is this throttle cable up here. I'm going to go ahead and remove this carburetor, because this is part of this bike here anyway. Okay, take that off like that. I'm going to tighten this little mounting bracket back up on it. I'm going to go ahead and pull this tape up that I have on here. Yeah, it looks horrendous. That's okay. This bike was to get me back and forth to work. It wasn't to look good. The fact that it's a beach cruiser is because it's the bike that I used the least of all the bikes that you've seen in all of my videos in the background. And because it was the least used, it was the healthiest, least rusted, and most protected bike. And it just happened to be a really nice style. So that was purely coincidental. Okay, so I'm going to take this and take it, just put it aside. Okay. Now, the next is you can do the chain, or you can do the electrical. I'm going to do the electrical because I hate having to fight the chains. So, go ahead and do the process of taking this electrical off. Now, why am I doing this? Would this not be here under any other situation? When I swap the motor, it's going to have to be put back on. Yes and no. Because of this swap, these motors being very different, for some reason, the actual plug itself is different. Not 1000% sure how to express this, but I can show you better than anything. Let's see where the other one went. It was in the basket. And of course, now it's not. Oh, it was with all the stuff that I moved over here. This one, for the new motor, actually has thicker wire, and the connectors are much bigger, and it doesn't fit the same. So, and I know because I tried this one to get this motor working. So I want to change out the entire unit here. And I'm not sure what they're calling it. I'm not sure at all, but if I had to give this a name, I would call this spark plug relay, because it plugs into the spark plug, and this is like a self-holding relay system. So that is the new one. This is the old one. It's coming off this motor right now. Unplugging it. If you've noticed that this kill switch wires are just hanging, yes they are. If you've thought to yourself, well, that's precarious, could that have had something to do with this problem? Well, it does have something to do with my problem, but it's not necessarily what you think. I took it off to make sure that it wasn't self-holding closed and therefore keeping the motor killed. The motor needs to be alive, and when you press the switch, that kills the motor. So that was there and hanging due to troubleshooting, which, as you see now, clearly wasn't the problem because I'm desperately changing the whole motor. Okay, so next up is the chain, which I want to keep the chain, but I don't want to keep the motor. So we're going to work on getting the chain off, then we're going to continue with this motor. I'm going to have to turn the whole thing around for you, because I'm not privileged enough to have a nice shop where I can work from any angle or even pull a car in. I am fated to work with what I've got, and that's okay. Okay. Now, why am I keeping the chain and not putting the chain that come with the new motor on here? Well, quite frankly, a lot of my tools are at my job, and at my job, where the chain piece is, I did not bring it home. So this one is going to have to be reused, which is okay, but that's what I'm dealing with now. So to move forward here, I'm going to cut this chain guard off. Why am I cutting it and not being nice to these little twist guys? Well, I'm lazy. I've dealt with a lot right now, and I want to do this for y'all. So just trying to hurry up and get it done. Okay, there's a bolt that goes all the way through on this case. I threw a nut on the back to help with this chain guard. And I looped the hole on the chain guard and mounted it to that bolt, because I thought that was helpful. And no one has really told me where or how I'm supposed to mount this chain guard, so I'm doing it my way, but I cannot guarantee that that is the right way. I cannot even guarantee where this thing actually goes, and it's all kinds of beaten up and distorted. There's just like, because it mounts from the back, and it's so confusing, just absolutely confusing exactly how you're supposed to mount this. And with all the different shape and forms of bike out there, it's impossible to know. Here we go. I'm going to take a pair of pliers. Needle nose is better. I have needle noses. They're over there. I'm already on the ground. I have these right here. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that master link off. With the same level of difficulty that I'm having, if not more. Okay, so I got it to snap. That's right. Got it to snap. Now it doesn't want to slide off. So I turn the chain a little. Now grasp it with a pair of pliers and set it down there. Okay, now I take the plate off. Master plate and the master link body as well. Okay, that's the whole master link. Now, I'm getting a text message, and it's from somebody that I absolutely have to take it. So just because I don't have any editing software, I'm going to try to do this all at once. Damn. Okay, so that stopped the video. Of course it did. Of course it did. Anyway, let's continue. The first half of the video was us getting through to the chain part. I'm taking the chain off up here. Okay. Now is where you're going to start needing Allen keys, or hex keys, or hex drivers, or whatever you'd like to call these little self-centered sumbitches. Okay, not that one. Okay, not that one. Okay. This one. Alright. Now, just for the record, the reason I'm doing this is I'm curious what's going on under this cover. That's why I'm doing this. Before I take it off completely, there's a lot of gunk. I just want to take a look. I am in a hurry, and I am doing this for you, but it might be beneficial to take a look behind this plate. Now, I was grasping at straws as to why this won't run, so please forgive me for being a little thorough now. It does seem like a waste, but I promise I have some good intentions here. I don't know that there's gonna be too much wrong. It just looks very dirty. And we can take a look, a good honest look at what happens when you run a bike every single day, rain or shine. Okay. Wowee, wow, that's dirty. Okay, now let's put that back on very carefully to prevent getting all that trash inside of that spot. Okay, it didn't look like anything had burnt up. It just looked like it was dirty. Okay. Okay. You would have to do this anyway to put the first chain on, and to apply a small amount of grease, or a large amount of grease. Just, you know, it depends how much chaotic you have in your little mixture. Chaotic neutral, chaotic good, just pure fucking evil. Yeah, that little thing. Okay. And another thing to note, I'll take this off. We'll take a look here for a minute. I've never looked in here. I know what it is. But for anybody curious, this is where the magneto should stay. Okay. The magneto is what spins with the motor and creates a magnetic current that could be sent to the relay. And oh boy, that is definitely off. Not entirely sure why it would be off, but it's off. Huh. I will be damned. Okay. That actually might be our problem. Let's dive into this just a little bit. The magneto is supposed to be perfectly even between these 2 points. Perfectly even. And it doesn't look like that it is. At all. So, just going to try to, yeah, like, here's a little knife. I'm going to try to show you. I got all this wiggle room in here. But down here, no, I can't even pull it all the way through. So that is definitely uneven. And that uneven is not good. Okay, so let's take a look as to what is causing that. Okay, so if it's the shaft that it's sitting on, it'll go up and down as the shaft turns. And that doesn't appear to be the problem because the magneto is still too tight at the bottom and nowhere near as tight at the top. Okay. So I'm getting spark, but I'm not getting strong spark because the magneto. Okay. Don't use a Phillips head, use a flathead. This video turned into something different. And I do apologize. Damn. Okay, we're going to do something a little bit on the drastic side. I know these screwdrivers are fitting. Okay. Well, okay. Let's dump something different then. I'm going to attempt to manipulate it downward. No. Well, being careful really hasn't helped so far. That doesn't seem to be helping any either. I don't understand how it can fail like this. But that's probably the problem right there, because that shouldn't be. That should not be like that. I want to manipulate it down some, if possible, which it doesn't seem to be. So I'm not sure how that happened, because it's not. I don't know. I don't know why that would be a thing. I also don't know what thread direction they have going on here. Take a look at the let's try this side. That seemed like a bad idea, so let's go this way with it instead. Okay, that loosened it up. So they are righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, even for a Chinese bike. I have had some standard bolts on this thing, so that's not the most surprising, but at first glance it would be, because it was when I first found my first, oh God. Okay, don't lose this little sliver. It's like a half moon shaped item. That is the keyway for the magneto here. Also, if the magneto is installed backwards, it will fire at the opposite time. So keep track of which side went off. Okay. There's this little seal right back here. It's size 19, I believe. And sometimes it comes out. I can't tell that that's out, but I also don't think that it's in. So I'm going to push it back in. Get up and not be lazy, because I feel like this is necessary. Okay. And typically you do this with a 19mm socket and a hammer. I don't have a hammer because all of my hammers are at work. So you can take a 19mm socket. I'm going to take my adjustable wrench. Okay, and yeah, it fits directly on there. Okay, I mean, it looked like it was going a bit. Don't know if it went enough to make a massive, huge difference. So I'm going to stick this back on there. Keeping in mind the, this piece needs to go on there first. Okay, that didn't work. Put the piece back in again. Tried to slide this on all at once. Nope. Okay. Well, I'm sorry that this video is devolved like this. That didn't actually go on, even though it looked like it. This piece slid out, off, and onto the side of the magnet. Whenever you're squeezing on threads, always be very careful. I'm just gonna try to turn it just a little bit. There we go. This needs to sit right in. Let's try that again. This needs to sit right in here. Okay, this is the side that's been wearing against the plate. And that looks about as flush as it's... Of course, it didn't actually stay once again. So I'm gonna sit that in there. I'm gonna sit that in there. This right here may be enough of an annoyance to just throw another motor on. Programming machines at work are not this bad. Okay, I'm gonna lay it right there. Okay, that worked that time, thank God. Okay, now I put the bolt directly in the case. That way I wouldn't lose it. I put the little nut thing there. And this does righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, so I'm going to put a flat screwdriver right there. Okay. That is in, that is on, that is tight. Do not believe that that has fixed the problem at all, but it's on. And I'm gonna do what everybody else does and ignore that because this motor is coming off. If it doesn't want to fit right, fine, because it's coming off. So, anyway, I visually inspected that there is a problem that I can't seem to fix anyhow. Okay. I hope that was a little bit educational anyway, although I don't think you could see this as well as I could. There is a little keyway, and sometimes keyways do fall out or get chewed up or go missing and stuff. And that magneto is supposed to be closer together than that on the top. They're supposed to be the same width for both. That suggests that it's maybe only firing half the time, which means it probably isn't running. So, I mean, how did it get there? I don't know, because it's been running great till it stopped. But that's probably the problem, all the same. And now we're at the point where we can start taking bolts off. The needle thing is going to stay just like the hose. I'm going to take this whole motor off. We're going to get the new motor on. Daddy can be proud of me. Oh, we joke. We like to joke. In all seriousness, once all of this is done, I will feel better about this situation. When I have a running motor. Now, I'm not going to tell you what size these nuts are because yours might not be this big. Might not also be this small. I don't know what kit you're buying, so I don't know what size the threads are going to be or any of that. So I'm not going to tell you what size they are because it really doesn't matter. And it may not be what you need or what you have. But also, I don't want to encourage somebody who's never turned a bolt before to run out and buy just this wrench, just this socket, just that socket. And then they get home and it's wrong. I highly suggest buying a whole set of tools because you're going to need to do maintenance every so often. Or maybe replace the motor. God, I wonder if we know anybody doing that right now. And after buying an entire kit, such as the Harbor Freight 301 piece mechanics kit that all of my tools are typically coming from, you can do all of the work that you need. And I know that just sounds a bit judgmental, but like, I don't do good with just grab a 19mm wrench. Every time I've ever been told to grab a certain size wrench, it's always been a different size. Always. So, I grew up with the type of parent that didn't need my help outside when they were working on something. And didn't really involve me too much. Not that my stepfather didn't try. I believe he tried. I believe I was just more interested in programming things and hacking things and getting on the internet, and it was a completely different kind of world for me. I didn't like this kind of stuff growing up, so I fought against it really hard. Now I'm doing it every day, and I'm doing it at work, and I'm not going to say I love it. I love turning a wrench. I love making things run. The process of getting this to happen, though, not so much. 15? Nope, not a 15. See? I make a judgment call and it's wrong. That one, okay. I have always kind of had a bit of an issue with authority growing up, and I've always questioned it. And after recently watching a documentary about a Japanese prison, wondered how many times I would have already been killed by the government if I didn't live free in a country that's so free that I'm allowed to break laws. Woo, woo, woo. I say that with so much enthusiasm. I'm allowed to break laws as long as I'm a senator or a governor or, something like that. I'm not allowed to break a law as a regular person. God forbid I break laws and don't have money, but, So that's why we're fixing this, because I could just drive a motorcycle, but I'd have to go get motorcycle endorsements, motorcycle insurance, I'd have to pay for it, I'd have to get the title transfer. And I mean, I could potentially scrounge up the money for one of those things, but not all of them. I could buy a motorcycle outright, potentially, with a couple of weeks of hard-earned pay, but it would still take months to get all of that stuff done. And I don't have months. I have some days here and there. And this is one of those days. So I'm working on this bike. I don't get my day off to go do something fun with my friends or go to the beach or get drunk. I take my day off and work on getting things running so that I can go back and forth to work. I do my oil changes on vehicles and things, and try to see my daughter when I can, if I can get a ride, or if I've had a vehicle, you know, I just hop in and go see her if I've been told by the baby mama that, you know, there's no plans, they'll be at home that day. I don't get invited to things because, God forbid, I'm just a baby daddy. So, anyway, not trying to complain about my problems, just expressing that this has to be done, and I need this running because this is a legal form of transportation that does not need any excessive anything. You put it in, it runs, everyone goes yay, you move on with your life. Ooh, I forgot. Y'all didn't forget anything. Y'all were probably shouting at the top of your lungs, don't forget the clutch cable. I forgot the clutch cable. That has to come off. Okay. Alright, well, I'm going to grab some more of my Mountain Dew because I'm a sugar-addicted fat-ass American. This is not a plug for Mountain Dew. I just really like Mountain Dew. It's probably the cause of half of my problems, but, you know, some people smoke, some people drink. I have Mountain Dew. So, could always be worse. I could be a smoker. I could be a drinker. You know, there goes half of my fan base right there. I'm sorry, y'all. In the meantime, you're thinking, if I was really sorry, I wouldn't have said it in the first place. We don't live in a very understanding community. I mean all of us. Me included. Ah, wow, okay. So what I had done when I first built this one was, because I know this one screw doesn't like to hold a cable very well, so I took the itty bittiest smallest hose clamp I could get, and I put up here too, so I could kind of double grab that wire and make sure that it's on there when it's on there. And it's on there for sure, but I took it off. Okay, this motor is now gone. We're gonna put it over here in the corner where it can gather dust. Probably gonna pull the spark plug out of it in a minute, and also I'm gonna pull this off because now that I've seen how that one went on, I'm gonna put this new one on the same way the old one went on. Okay. So these long feet on the bottom, I'm going to put this piece off of the old one on there, because why not? They're not being too friendly to the idea. There we go. There we go. I'm just going to hammer it on there. Now, somebody might would wonder, why am I hammering it on? Shouldn't it just go on? Well, it should, but again, I was trying to make this one fit on a bike that's nowhere near designed for a motor, and these threaded rods have been abusively manipulated. So that piece wasn't expected to fit perfectly, and so now I've tapped that one on. It's on there. We're going to make an attempt to install the whole motor to the bike before I worry about any of the wiring harnesses, wiring cables, any of that. We're going to go straight to this, which the front, did it not use a plate? Well, let's take a look. We're going to take a look together. How about that? We'll take a look together. Okay, so this one actually matches the color of the bike better anyway. Fits, but not really well. Let's check the swing on this. Yeah, it can't fit like that. It's got to go down some. Well, I mean, okay. Okay, that's about the angle it has to go, which is a better angle, all things considered. Let's take a look real quick. Okay. So what has to happen here? Did y'all hear a scream? I heard a scream. So I'm going to put a plate on the front. And I'm going to mount it with that plate. And this U-piece. This U-piece is proof that there was a plate there. But I don't know what happened to this square portion. Oh, it's still on the bike. Alright, okay, it's still there. Well, while it's still there, okay. Go, my Mountain Dew. That's why you don't drink sodas while you're working, people. Because I messed up. Yes, I'm the reason you can't have soda at your place of employment. Damn. Alright. Okay. So let's take this back off. Now that we've established what we require. Okay. Here's the piece that I dropped on my Mountain Dew. And I'm just gonna, just double check it slightly. And I want it to have some spacers, so I'm gonna put some spacers on there, which is not necessarily actual spacers. It's just I can't. Washers, there you go. Yeah, just washers, but when washers are used for space, they're suddenly spacers. So there's that math for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay. I'm going to go up with it instead of down. Why? Because I said so. Put a washer here. Put a washer there. Put a jam nut here. Put a jam nut there. I'm going to put a nut here and a nut there. And I'm doing the spacers, the washers as spacers here, because I want the position of this to be a certain way. Okay, so this is what I've done. The spacers are closer to the motor than the lock, washer, locks, washer, and nut are on the outside. Okay. Just like that. I also went ahead and pushed this more this way because the pipe needs to be this way and the motor needs to go this way. That way this can go past the pipe, and the chain is also on this side, so that helps as well. Okay. That looks good from here. Actually looks like that might be a better fit than the old one was. Okay. Next is the U-bolt, which I hope fits since everything else is fitting. Alright. That worked. Let's slide the washers here in place. And put these used nuts on here. Okay. Get this side nice and snug, because this is the side that really decides how everything works. You want the front side mounted properly before anything, because the front tire can't hit the muffler. Okay? I mean, it can, and that's a problem. You don't want it to do that. Okay. Now, if you're noticing that it's sitting a bit angled, that's perfectly fine. It's actually perfect, in my opinion. It's perfectly fine. You want to make sure this doesn't hit too aggressively. And then you want to slap it a little bit. Okay. This can go on the back. May take some adjusting, but it can go on the back, like I said. Not gonna make a liar out of me. Not on my own channel anyway. I just want to upload a damn video. Shit. Okay. Put this bolt on here, just like this. Okay. So I put the little U piece, little kind of semi-flat pipe mounting piece on the very back here. Okay, same size, so. Okay, that's tight, it's on there, yada yada, yada yada. So next is the throttle. We want to do the throttle first. I'm sorry, the clutch cable. So we want to do the clutch cable first before anything, because, and you can pretty much quote me on this, once you've put the carburetor on, it becomes pretty hard to do the clutch cable. Okay, so I'm going to grab it, pull it through, make sure it's on there, yada yada. That spring does go on this throttle cable because you want to make sure that you are putting little spacer around that, you know, rubber plastic housing to ensure that it is safe from being burnt and stuff. Okay, so like I said, what I do is I push this in until I figure out where that happy spot is, where it's right about ready to catch. I take the screwdriver, tighten it. Okay. I kind of twist that a few times to make it not angled into the chain. I repeat, you do not want that angled into the chain. You don't. Okay, so okay, I had forgotten that the clutch was pulled, so I want to do this again and readjust the clutch so that when I pull the clutch, it engages, not to where when I pull the clutch, it's at engagement. Okay, grab it right there, loosen and twist. Okay, that gets us really close. Okay, anything but against the thing. All right, so next, after all that fight, you have to take the actual housing off, which will remove the tension from that bolt lever thing on your clutch, because the housing for it is this plate, which is, hats off to them. They sure do have this bitch on there tight. This third bolt on here is typically a rather long one. Okay, you want to inspect for grease. There is grease, that's good. And then next, and some people may doubt this, but once you've tried it, you'll see. You can put the bike chain on from here. Put the cable. Try to put the housing back on, and then put the chain on, and you'll see that it's just ultimately insane. Okay, so take the 19, put it on here. And I'm not starting it. There's no gas line, none of that. But you kind of can't do this without the plate off. See? It goes right on up and over. Oh, no. Silly me. There we go. There we go. Now it's on. Take the bike chain, run it where it's supposed to go. Up to here. Okay. And this is just going to be a greasy mess because this is a used chain, but I want to put the used chain back on because the chain was working just fine. It wasn't the chain, it was the motor that wasn't cranking. So there's the chain. There's the master link. There's the master link faceplate. There's the master link retainment pin. Also, this is on the bottom side. So what I want to do with this retaining pin is I want to put the two forks facing forward because it's on the bottom side. I want to face them backwards on the top side because the chain will spin like this. And if the chain hits anything going forward, you don't want the forks to peel off that piece and then the master link come out. Okay, so keep that in mind as you're putting your bike together. That might be a tiny little detail that really keeps you from walking miles and miles and miles, or pedaling miles and miles and miles. If this chain falls off, though, it may destroy your back sprocket. You might be dragging a motorized bicycle with you several miles, or walking without it if you decided it's not worth dragging at that point. Okay, so there was oil in this thing. I've visually seen the oil, so I don't need to shove any oil in there. It has been oiled. At least this one has been oiled. The original, I oiled it myself. I shoved some red automotive grease in there, like bearing packer grease, because you need to grease it. But this one has a grease or oil paste in there. So I'm going to go with the manufacturer's recommendations and not fuck with that. There we go. Okay. There. Make sure they are tight. This clutch kit is really important. Now that I've gotten it back on, I want to squeeze the clutch and engage it, and then test to make sure that it does roll the chain properly. That tells me that the clutch is engaged, and then when I release the clutch, I know that the clutch is not engaged. So, two very typical things, easy to know, easy to get wrong. Okay. Now, because this bike already come with this one, this is the one that's going on. Okay. I've got to push y'all closer for this. Okay. This one comes with 3 wires. A blue wire, a black wire, and a red, white wire. White wire, everyone keeps saying, is crap, is trash. You can't use it. It's not good for anything. Throw it away. I'm going to shove it back in here until the populace starts saying what you could do with your white wire. Because somebody will figure it out. And when they do, I would love to have a headlight on this thing. But you go blue to blue, black to black. Nice and snug. Blue to blue, black to black. Once again, okay. Then you have the difficult task of I put this on the wrong side and feeding it through between the motor, the muffler, and the frame. Okay, which was relatively not very hard, I guess. All right. Now, I don't have a lot of zip ties, so I'm going to use these because I have them. You don't have to use these, but I'm going to because I have them. And I've said that twice, so you know that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take these. These are like zip ties, but reusable, and Velcro. That's the word, Velcro. I'm going to go up here, run it around this relay thing. Make sure that it is in place. Now, I really do like the mounting hardware that all of this came with, but this particular thing doesn't have to be perfect, because I still have to find out if it's going to run. And that's the big question. Will it run? So, spark plug in. If I can see how to get that spark plug lined up. There we go. Okay. Now, it came with a tool, so let's stop and take a look at this tool real quick. This tool has the perfect dimensions for these picky little motors. It's a spark plug wrench, What they want you to do is to take this spark plug wrench and put a handle through it to tighten your spark plug. And that is doable. We're going to do it right now because I don't have a lot of tools with me. And the spark plug wrench does really work. I think they also intend, though, I can't speak for them, but I just about believe they intend for this to be in the bag that you take with you everywhere. Simply because you'll need the screwdriver to adjust your carburetor bolt, idler bolt or whatever, and therefore you'll have your handle and you'll have your spark plug wrench socket or whatever. So here we go. I've installed it. Then I take the black hose that's on this one, I run down, connect it over it into place. Let's get you a little better footage here. I fed this down and over, back into this spot. And let's see if I can make this fit, because this is the same kill switch. Just hang tight right there. These need to fit in here. I would put black to black and then green to blue because I'm trying to color coordinate. God, yeah, they're a little stiff. They do fit, okay. The other stuff didn't fit when I tried to get it to fit earlier. But, okay, so y'all aren't even actually able to see that. I ran blue to green with the two blue to the green and all the blacks together. That allows the kill switch to interrupt, take some of the power away from the motor, which will cause it to die because it's such a small underpowered motor. Okay, so all that's left is the carburetor. Which carburetor to choose? Which carburetor to choose? Well, this one was actively running and running good. So with an extension to that one of acknowledging that it is a nice brand new one, I want to run this one because I know that it was set accurately before everything stopped working. What I'm going to do is first run this cable under and through. I'm going to find the appropriate slot that everything sits in. There we go. It has a slot that it fits in. Okay, then the gasket fits in just right. Okay, then you put the nut on top down. Okay, and that's all of that. And you slide it on here. This is tight. Okay, good. That'll make for a good seal. Good seal. All right. Okay, and I want to put the fuel line onto the little doohickey. And she's actually ready for a test run. Okay, so I could do the test run on here, but you wouldn't be able to see anything because it's becoming pitch black outside. And it would either have to face at the road or it would have to face at me. But I'm going to do a test run, and either it'll work or it won't. We'll see, but I hope you appreciate this little tidbit. I hope it was either encouraging or informative, and I'll see you next time. This video will not be uploaded tonight, but hopefully it'll be uploaded soon. Have a great day, and stay safe out there, everybody. So you're probably still watching to find out why there was extra footage behind the have a great day, stay safe, bye. And so here goes. I actually decided, as I'm pushing this thing out here to test drive it myself, I'll include you guys because you can hear my thought processes as it cranks for the very first time. This is in fact going to be the very first time this motor has ever cranked. Therefore, it will be a little bit more difficult, or it should be a little bit more difficult. I got the headlight on, I got the turn signals ready, and it's getting fuel now. I'm going to start the cycling process. Okay. So I'm pedaling, pedaling. And I'm going to drop the clutch when I feel like I'm going fast enough. Well, that didn't work out. So the problem is currently that the clutch is too tight and won't disengage. I need to adjust the clutch so that it does engage. I'm sorry, so that it does disengage. Just a matter of tightening and loosening the screw until when it's disengaged, it drags the motor, which it does. So, good. Let's try to find out where that starts. How about there? If I tighten it up just that little bit more. Okay, you can hear the motor turning over, so I know that the clutch has been disengaged. Now back to the test drive. Going to engage the clutch so that I can pedal. Okay. Get on and start pedaling. Okay, drop the clutch. Okay, keep going, a little faster. Yeah, a little more. Nope. That's most likely due to that hairline on the top of the motor. Oh well. I tried. That's okay. It's 2 new motors coming in the mail. But that is how you put them on a bike. I don't think I actually expected this one to work, so I don't really feel like I lost anything. Huh. Alright, well. We'll roll her into the shop. And I'll be done for the night. If you stuck it out this far, that's cool. You're awesome. Didn't crank, but should have cranked by then. That's how you know something's wrong. So I'm just gonna let it sit. But I appreciate you giving it a try with me. And we're gonna just shut her down for the night. I hope you have a great night. I hope you sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. All of those things. It might be morning where you're at. I don't know. So anyway, thank you for taking this trip with me. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I don't normally say like and subscribe. I might have done it in one video or two. Y'all know that I don't ask for things. I don't ask for donations. I'm not going to run a Patreon. Therefore, y'all have no way of sending me money. And I'm not going to advertise things. Like, I'm not going to tell you which company sent me these 2 motors. Because the first one did great. And I might have done something wrong. The second one, factory problem. So, I'm not going to tell you who sent me these motors. Because I paid for them. I don't want you to buy what I bought and get something bad. On the other hand, I didn't get any paid endorsements either. Would I mind if Mountain Dew started paying me endorsements? Not really, but they'd have to know a couple things. I'm not going to be soft-hearted about things that don't require soft heart. I'm not going to be nice about things that specifically require you to be abrasive. I'm not going to be gentle and kind about things that require aggression. So I'm not going to change who I am for this company or any other company. And so at the end of the day, it's probably best if I don't have any sponsors. But this bike right here has lasted me 2 months back and forth every single day. Several hundreds of miles now, probably about 500 miles on it. That actually might be outside of the break-in period. I might have missed doing something that I should have done to secure its future. But in the meantime, there are more motors on the way. There's 2 motors right there. There's plenty of spare parts for certain things should the need for them arise. At the moment, I appreciate you taking the trip with me. Appreciate you watching this far. I hope you have a great day and stay safe. No matter what you're doing, stay safe out there. Bye.